Greetings, geeks. This is another episode of Geeking Off the Page with Trevor and Mike. Where's Gavin and Troy? We don't know. Although, we'll take it from here. Trevor?
Hey, folks. And actually, we do know. We're just legally obligated to say we don't. That way we don't incriminate ourselves. Thinking. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to go to jail. Anyways, so it has been a week since we spoke last.
Has been a week.
Yeah, it has been a week. Things have happened. Shows have come on. We've watched some stuff. There's very few things we have both watched, but I think we're going to jump right into the elephant in the room. Obi Wan Kenobi, Part 5. Mike, take it away.
It's an elephant. It's a big elephant. Okay, so oh man, I'm kind of sad because I called it right at the beginning, and I am going to do a director's cut. I'll just spoil that right now. I'm going to do my own edit, like the phantom edit of the Obi-Wan series of what it could have been, which is essentially Obi-Wan looking at cute Luke in Tatooine and just cut there, nothing else. But this episode, it just keeps going wrong, and I don't understand how. And this is Disney, Star Wars, like all around. Like, you have this epic opportunity to have a series with prime Darth Vader versus prime Obi-Wan, and instead, what is it? It's like talking through doors and third sister having a sob story. And when you have a big lightsaber battle, it's Darth Vader versus third sister rather than Obi-Wan. There's so much that's wrong with it that, like, my mind is just kind of blown. So, and this is the one when that Pixar guy, like, I made the mistake last week where I thought the previous episode was the Pixar guy who was helping to write it. Mm-hmm. But this is the one, he didn't do anything to help. Like, the story was such trash. So I'm kind of tapped out. So unless we get an epic fight on the last episode, basically the series, like, the good parts are Obi-Wan looking at little Luke, and that's it. I don't know. What do you have to add to that, Trevor?
Funny you should ask. So for me, I was heavily disappointed with this episode. Like, to a point where I had the cursor sitting over the stop button. Like, I was just getting more and more. Like, so for people who haven't seen it, you really don't have to, but I'm going to spoil some things. So they track Obi-Wan and Leia to a planet because of the little tracker that the third sister put on Leia's little
the cute toy that Disney's planning to sell to a lot of little kids with the blue and red eye, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, good and yeah.
So they know where they are. So Vader says, so we're going to send some troops down. 2 ships. 2 goddamn ships leave the Star Destroyer. Now, I'm just going to say there are more. Now, when they finally deployed, you know, there were more than a couple, stormtroopers showed up, but I just 2 goddamn ships. You have been hunting this Jedi for 10 years.
A Star Destroyer, I mean, they could obliterate it from orbit.
Yeah.
If they wanted to.
But the thing is, Vader's got a hard on to get Obi-Wan. He wants,
not to be phallic, but yes.
Well, no, I mean, however you want to put it, but it's just, so I'm just looking here quickly. Crew complement. There are 27,850 enlisted on board. Of those, 9,700 of them are stormtroopers. You have AT-AT pilots, you have AT-ST drivers, you have Imperial transport pilots. 2 fucking ships are deployed. Just 2. And they land at the front door thinking, this is a mine. They've only got one way in, one way out. What? That was the first thing. I was just like, wow, did they like just not have the budget to put more ships in that scene. Like, so yeah, 2 ships, maybe 60, 70 troopers total, if that. And then they have this giant cannon that they just repeatedly shoot against the door until, you know, Obi-Wan and the third sister talk for a bit, and then she just sticks her lightsaber in and cuts the door open anyway. Why they didn't lead with that? If you really wanted to get in, what was the giant cannon for? Make the stormtroopers feel useful? You know, she cuts the bar, boop, doors open.
Yeah.
And then we have the giant fight. Meanwhile,
wait, I gotta jump in real quick because
right.
In Naruto, there's the thing like the talk no Jitsu thing where Naruto defeats the enemies with his speeches and converts them to be good. So like the talk no Jitsu or talk Jitsu, whatever you want to call it, like that's a Naruto thing. So when this is about to happen, me and the sons were like, oh no, is he gonna do talk Jitsu with this third sister and then this Sabi backstory? But it wasn't even good.
No,
it wasn't even convincing.
It wasn't.
It's like, what the hell? And then she cuts the door open and she's just a jerk anyway.
Yeah. So they have this big fight. What's her face? The potential love interest. What's her name? It's right on the tip of my mind.
Game of Thrones girl.
Yeah. God, I'm just quickly looking it up.
The last Imperial female officer, the one
Tala.
who basically screwed everything up for every single female in the entire Empire
so
army.
Tala, in essence, sacrificed herself in a cool way. At least she pulls out a thermal detonator, and you know,
was it that cool?
Well, we got to see what a thermal detonator would do.
Cool.
We see what they do in an enclosed area, but it was just the fact that, well, I mean, I looked at that scene and I quickly thought back to episode 4, and I'm like, yeah, Obi-Wan didn't have a lady shacked up with him. So obviously that didn't happen. Otherwise it would have been, hey, you know, the crazy old hermit and his wife. But that didn't happen. So they had to get
his hot Imperial sidekick.
Yeah. So they had to get rid of her somehow. So eventually Vader, like Obi-Wan gives himself up. He surrenders.
And he gave away. Oh man. Okay, you keep going.
Yeah, so he gives
the lightsaber and the communicator. We got to get back to that, but yeah, keep going.
So he says to third sister, well, all you know, you want revenge on Vader. Tell you what, his focus is going to be on me. That's when you strike, because she's like, I can't beat him, and he's like, well, his attention's going to be on me. In the meantime, I'm gonna go escape again.
I'm gonna run away while you get stabbed. Yeah. See ya.
So he gives his lightsaber and the communicator to what's his face, who proceeds to drop them, or at least one of them. But
and meanwhile, it's like, hey, you know, we got this top secret thing with these Jedi kids. I shouldn't contact you, but you know what? I'm going to contact you anyway. I'm going to leave a message. I'm going to give it to you. You're going to drop it. Like,
yeah. The second I saw that, I'm like, someone's getting a hold of that thing. Second, he had to go off secretly and watch it. Like someone's either intercepting that message or is going to get that communicator.
That makes me hate the Organas.
Yeah, it does.
Like, what the hell? You guys are idiots. No wonder your planet got destroyed, you fools.
Yeah. So anyway, Vader comes along and he's like, "Where's Kenobi?" And they're like, "In there." Not like, let's go with you, Lord Vader. They're all like, yes, smoke break. It's our mandatory, like, Imperial 5-minute smoke break. He's in there. Good luck. So Vader goes marching in. Ship goes taking off, and right out of like the video game, he like grabs the ship, using the Force, preventing it from going, pulls it, drags it down, begins to rip off chunks of it.
And that's a thing where it does happen in the video games, but it never happens in the movies.
Yeah, it
seems a little extreme, a little far-fetched.
Like Starkiller held an entire Star Destroyer from Disney.
Yeah.
But anyway,
and that's cool in that context, but in this context, I'm like,
here's the thing. Vader's ripping that ship apart. The other ship that you can see in behind suddenly takes off and flies away, and he watches it go. You just showed us you can grab a goddamn ship with a Force and arrest its flight.
I know, it's just like when he showed us that he can put out fire with the Force,
exactly.
But instead Obi-Wan runs away through fire and he stops.
I was
like,
looking
Darth
at
Vader, you're an idiot. You're my favorite character in all of history and fandom, and you're an idiot. I
paused the screen and I'm like, is his stamina bar, did it run low? Is that it? It's got to recharge before he can Force grab something else, and they got away in time.
Maybe that's what it was.
I was just like, wow, someone played way too much of the video game and had their stamina bar run out, and they're like, oh, I need the Force. I got to wait for my stamina to recharge. And And I was just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And then she comes over, uses this moment to attack, not when he's holding the ship. Now that ship, to make it harder, should have been firing at him. So he could have been like
something,
having to deflect the bolts while holding the ship until he can, reflect the bolt back and destroy the cannon and drop it. And that's when she should have attacked while he was busy, not while he's like, well, fuck, they ran away. Blocked you. It's just no, his attention was not that diverted at that point. It's like she went to the school of bad timing.
And what kind of idiot is Obi-Wan? I have this brilliant plan. I'm going to run away. You're going to attack and get stabbed. Yeah, let's do that one.
Yeah, and so she gets stabbed, and the Grand Inquisitor shows up, and he pulls the little pin and goes, "I'm the Grand Inquisitor, bitch," and goes marching away. And then she finds the communicator, and she learns that Luke's on Tatooine.
And the fact she's okay. We thought he was going to do one of those, like the scissor lightsabers and take the head off. It's like, this is the moment.
I just look at it. She's already taken a lightsaber once to the chest, so she's probably she's got experience. Now the only cool thing in this entire episode was the fight between Hayden Christensen and Ian McGregor back when they were, Master and Padawan.
And even that, to me, there's a meme that showed them fighting back in the old days, but then they kind of superimposed strip club things with him throwing money and him doing the pull. And there's a little bit of that vibe, especially when they're back to back and doing their thing.
Now the thing is, I look at this. This was Obi-Wan training Anakin, as he got older, and he realizing that Anakin fights extremely aggressively and fights to win at all costs. And that's when he even admonishes him, you're going too far for victory. You're getting too emotional to get that victory, and that's going to be your downfall. And it was a nice callback to seeing them in their original Jedi robes, but the de-aging on their faces look pretty shitty, super shitty. I was like, wow, they did not spend a whole lot of time on this sequence. This was more like some fan service. We just don't have the budget to make it look good, though.
We got the budget, we just don't care.
So, and they've pretty much set up, so the whole thing's, Obi-Wan's gonna drop off Leia and then boot his ass to Tatooine, where the third sister's gonna be like attacking Owen, asking, what boy sort of thing, and then Anakin's gonna swoop in and save the day and kill her and be all remorseful and shit about it, and then Owen's going to tell him to, go away, don't bother us again, sort of thing. And Obi-Wan's going to be like, okay, and then run away.
But can he keep the toy?
Yeah,
it's a really cool toy.
It's going to suck some donkey balls. I agree. What this series should have been was more of, Obi-Wan keeping a watch over Luke from afar. And any threats that came to the planet, he was quietly diverting them or just taking care of them without Luke or Owen or anyone else being any the wiser. Like if a probe droid shows up, it mysteriously meets up with a Krat dragon. Or if a bounty hunter shows up, he gets, waylaid and directed off to another direction or something like that.
And I really liked what you said last podcast with bringing in the other Jedis, so Obi-Wan's going to rescue Leia, because I still think that's a good plot point, but I don't think the interaction should have been there, like between the two characters so much. So bring in a different Jedi that's kind of helping her along. Obi-Wan's kind of taking the back seat, but meanwhile he's defending them. Mm-hmm. So the other Jedi can get her back to Alderaan, can get killed in the process, which would be very dramatic.
Yeah,
but the whole story is, like, this is what I don't understand. This is Disney Star Wars. You have a chance to do Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. And this is essentially like the Terminator coming to kill Sarah Connor. This is, it's like Darth Vader's on a mission. Tarkin gave him the thumbs up. Somebody should be controlling him. That's the problem I've had the whole time. Yeah. He's sitting in a castle and he's being all badass. But no, back in this era, he's on the leash. He's being controlled by whoever's in politics at the time. Mm-hmm. Right. But so he's essentially let off the leash, go get the Obi Wan, the last great Jedi that we can hunt down and kill. And you have 6 episodes of Darth Vader just trashing everything in the galaxy to hunt down Obi Wan Kenobi.
You could even have, the first episode. There's some sort of like there's a bounty hunter who kind of figures out that going through records and realize like, oh, maybe there's something against Owen Lars, and he comes to show up to pull up a pay this bounty off or I take you back to and guild sort of thing, and he's like, and here's your wife, and who's this kid? And so he starts digging, and then Obi-Wan shows up and kind of like uses a mind trick and says, you never found Owen, go away, sort of thing. So the guy's like, oh, I never found Owen. And that's the lead that allows Vader to realize that him using the Force has allowed Vader to realize that we're in a general area where Obi-Wan is. And you can even do a merry little chase where he's leading Vader by the nose around, trying to get him away from Tatooine. You have a big fight. Maybe he cuts off Vader's arm again, and then uses that distraction to kind of disappear, or even fakes his own death so that Vader believes he's finally dead. So that's
you had mentioned that last podcast. That's a great idea.
Let Vader think he killed Obi-Wan, so that when he shows up on the Death Star and it's a presence I haven't felt since. And if that's the
since thing, I killed him. Wait a second, I didn't kill him.
Yeah, he's if he's here, and that's why Vader's we meet again for the last time, and now I'm the that's sort of
for the first time for the last time.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole. But the thing is if you have him lop off one of Vader's legs or one of his arms, and then he plunges to his death or whatever, and Vader's well, I guess he's dead. Okay, and so he stops looking.
Yeah,
he doesn't look. Why was Obi-Wan hiding out? In the Tatooine system, get him to stop looking. He was like, oh, that's where he just happened to be at that moment, sort of thing. But leads him on a chase, so he realizes that, or he assumes that Obi-Wan's been on the run for the last 10 years, has not had an established home, so he's just running from system to system to system to system.
It's that kind of thing too. Like I've heard that story. Like if like a wild predator, like if you're being attacked with someone with dogs that can sniff you down, you go to the water to remove the scent, so then you can escape at a different point and they can't track you from there. So if Obi-Wan was doing that kind of thing, like you're saying, where it's like, you're trying to, I guess, lead away from the target area, which is Tatooine. Like, why we decide to put your son and your home planet, like, okay, logic flaw, but let's ignore that.
Yeah.
Like, who'd be stupid enough to do that? Not us. We're going this way. But at least that would make sense as far as the narrative.
Yeah. I honestly, I would have done a little bit of fan service if I was writing this, in that along the merry hunt of Vader chasing Anakin, hit all the spots that they fought together or worked together. So you hit Genosha. You hit, at one point, leads them right back to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. So you see how that place has changed now that the Empire's taken over. It's been 10 years. What has changed about the Jedi Temple? Like, what has the Emperor done to it? Things like that, so that it's almost like a trip down memory lane for both of them in a way. And that way, when you culminate back, and Vader, kills Obi-Wan, and he thinks the matter's over, he doesn't go searching for why was Obi-Wan there. He just, satisfied. Well, I got, and you could even have him. One of the last scenes is Vader reporting to the Emperor that Obi-Wan is now gone. He's defeated. He's destroyed.
And what's the series? It's Star Wars Rebels, right? Which is supposed to technically happen after this.
Is it after this or before this? I can't remember.
I think it's after this. So I didn't watch this series, but it would be fun if there was a little bit of a lead into that, like it kind of explain.
Well, the thing is Star Wars Rebels, they have Obi-Wan face down Darth Maul, and it's a very short fight. It is an extremely short fight, but it doesn't. This series should have been explaining what Obi-Wan's been doing in the last 10 years, and when this crisis comes up of Vader, what he does to throw Vader off the trail of his children.
Yeah.
And it's so far has not done that at all.
And it really should have been kind of like a James Bond story, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be noticed. He's trying to
He's trying to be
lead the Empire.
incognito, but when Luke has been put in danger of discovery, he's got to like set off the big signal flare over here that's going to draw Vader and everyone else so that no one notices that Luke's over here.
Right. So you bring the whole Empire to one spot, you fake your own death, like you had suggested.
Yeah.
And then you disappear. Whew.
Exactly.
That would have been great.
It
like, how hard is that? You got 6 episodes for awesome Obi-Wan versus Vader.
Yeah. And the thing is you pull in elements of, Obi-Wan having to jump into a starfighter to flee and just being hit, like outflown by Vader, because
that's one thing. Oh man. Okay. I was saying that to my sons. That's one thing that's been missing from this entire series is, Anakin is one of the best starfighters. You could have Darth Vader in his personal TIE fighter with the fancy wings that we only got to see in one movie. Like, give him his ship.
Yeah.
Give us an actual Star War,
Yeah.
Give us that space flight battle. None of that.
Well, you could even do something to the effect of, while he's running, Obi-Wan comes across one of the little Jedi fighters, and there's a hyperdrive ring that he kind of docks with, and it's kind of dodgy, and finally gets it to go and takes off, and he arrives the other spot and unhooks from the ring just as Vader's TIE Advance with the hyperdrive shows up behind him, and you have him fly through, and you could have Obi-Wan complaining, just, I'm not the pilot he is. And then eventually he just ditches it. Like, he jumps out, lets it slam into a building, and Vader just kind of slews, comes back, lands, hops out. And
how cool would that be? Okay, because I like your idea that Vader thinks Obi-Wan's dead. Imagine he thought he was dead in a space battle somehow.
Yeah,
like, what an epic end that would be, where Vader's like, yeah, I vaporized him. Obi-Wan figures out a way out of it.
Or even take the fight down onto a planet through a city, and he sees the destroyed remains of the fighter and figures, all right, I got him. And it was the last second, Obi-Wan swung the craft upside down and did like a force jump downwards out of sight, so it hit up blue, and he landed and got the hell out of there. Vader's like circling the area and realizes, in his mind, I've killed him. And you could even have Obi-Wan kind of like duck around the corner, get into a meditative pose to kind of like close his connection to the Force so that he's not noticeable. He can't be sensed. And you can have Vader even like trying to sense for him and realize
that would be great. Even like Qui-Gon or whatever his name is, like, that's one story point that they didn't follow through with yet.
Yeah.
But imagine that was one of the things he got taught, is how to close himself off so that he's not noticed.
Yeah.
So then in that moment where Vader thinks he killed him, it's because he used that technique. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Why are we writing the show, Trevor?
Yeah. To close your mind, close your connection to the Force so that, Vader can't sense you, and sees the Star Destroyer appear in orbit overhead, watches Vader's ship fly up to it. Or even like a bunch of ships come down because now they're going to investigate the area, and he just quietly slips away.
Yeah, and there's something so dark and tragic about that kind of a story.
Yeah.
Where the way you win is you intentionally lose.
Yeah, and you could even, the final shot could be, the final 2 shots could be Vader reporting to the Emperor that Kenobi is dead, and then Kenobi showing up at his little hut and kind of like opening the chest and tossing the lightsaber and then closing it. There you go. That's it. That's done. That's the series. But instead, we've got this. And I'm just...
Well, we're on the same page.
So, sidestepping from Kenobi, you want to discuss... let's see, there's some stuff you saw this week that I didn't, but by all means, take the floor.
All right. Star Trek related was Orville and Strange New Worlds. So first of all, for Orville, so I'm 3 episodes into that one, and I stand by what I said before. This is the best Star Trek that's happened in multiple decades. There's something that's so fun about this series. That's like a light optimism. There's that kind of tacky goofiness to it. It's not taking itself too seriously. And the characters are strong. The storytelling's strong. The messages are strong. like every episode has a moral dilemma that is like deep. It's touches humanity's inner core and is trying to express it in this kind of sci-fi way that Star Trek always used to. So the latest episode was they fly by a planet that's supposed to be basically a barren rock. They detect life signatures. It's like, oh, that's weird. That shouldn't happen. So they go check it out. They end up in this forest with a high school from like our century. And next thing you know, they're all like the crew's in high school and getting beaten up because some guy owes them money. And then the guy ends up being this giant alien troll who beats them up. And then it starts going like weird dreamscape. They're in an airplane that's going to crash. They end up in a morgue with zombies. They like it just keeps going and going, like classic Star Trek. So again, it gets into like alien hallucinations and all that kind of stuff, but it's classic Trek. So yeah, every time these episodes drop, I'm excited. The special effects are on point. The feeling of the whole thing is correct. You know, it's that kind of light, optimistic, colorful, fun characters. It's a good thing to watch with the entire family. So Orville, I'm all in on that. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, that one, it's kind of like if you had a slider and you went from original Star Trek to Abrams Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
and you could kind of slide it along the curve. It's like somewhere in between. You know, it's got like all the high tech visuals, but it still has some of that old school feel. Like the fact that the captain's chair is still that boxy chair and he's still wearing the yellow jersey. And so it feels sort of like original Star Trek, but it's definitely upgraded. Like obviously the bridge is way more advanced than what we saw way back in original series.
Yeah.
The casting on that, it's like I don't think they quite got it right, because like Uhura's there, Spock's there, Kirk's brother's there, which is weird.
Okay.
Yeah, they kept talking about Lieutenant Kirk. It's like, oh my god, they're bringing Captain Kirk. No, it's Sam Kirk. Like, oh, okay, it's like a little like Easter egg fan service kind of thing. It's like probably should have just done Kirk and been done with it. But the feel seems more Star Trek than anything that's been done recently. I would still say Orville is more Star Trek, but I can appreciate that they're bringing this more like modern version closer to the mark than what's done before.
Okay.
So, and it's still a little, you know, they're trying to be a little too edgy, a little too diverse, you know, they're doing like modern social agenda stuff, and that doesn't need to be done in the way that they're doing it, but still it's closer to the mark than it's been done in a long time. Stories are decent, so yeah, both of those are fun. I still pick Orville over Strange New Worlds.
All right. I just got to find the time to watch both series. I know the wife and I are I think we've got a date to watch at least episode 2 of Orville, and maybe we'll squeeze in 3 depending on how tired we are. So that'll be the plan.
I'm curious what Mara thinks about the new Orville episodes, since she thought the first one was too intense.
Yeah, she saw the first one was pretty dark compared to the
other.
It
was racism and suicide. Like,
yeah. So
yeah.
So we'll see.
Leading with that. The high school one's fun.
All right. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. So earlier this week, my wife and I did a date night, and we went to see Jurassic World Dominion, the latest of the Jurassic World films. This is what, film 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 6, I think. Anyway,
it's like Infinity War of Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah. So this is the one where they kind of bring the ensemble cast all together from the original Jurassic Park film and the new Jurassic World series. They kind of like throw them all together.
That's the thing that got me excited.
It did.
And everything I've seen says this is the second best Jurassic Park movie. Is that right or no? Oh, you're hesitating.
I'm
no.
There's the way they brought them together was kind of nice. So basically this comes right after Fallen Kingdom, where the little girl has released the dinosaurs and they've just kind of like spread to the four corners of the earth.
I didn't watch that. What happens if what little girl is releasing dinosaurs?
She's a clone. She is
A clone girl is releasing dinosaurs?
well, she's Hammond, the old guy from Jurassic Park, he had a partner.
Okay.
This movie played by James Cromwell, or in Fallen Kingdoms, James Cromwell. His daughter died, and so he cloned his daughter and basically raised her as his granddaughter. In this movie, we find out no, she is his granddaughter, but so his daughter was an amazingly smart geneticist. She wanted a baby, so she simply just made a clone of herself and impregnated herself with this clone. But she had a genetic condition she was dying of, and after her baby was born, she came up with a way of rewriting her daughter's, or basically herself's, DNA to remove this condition, so she won't die when she hits like 40. And
I wasn't expecting any of this from a dinosaur movie. Okay,
well,
continue.
this is part of the plot because do you remember Dodson from the first movie?
Yeah.
The guy who got Needry to have the Barbasol can and put the little things in. Dodson, we got a Dodson here. Well, he shows up. He's running a company called Biosyn. And he has the can, by the way. He has the Barbasol can. Somehow they got back to the island and got the can. Anyways, that aside. So he's like a cross between Elon Musk and Tim Cook with a little bit of Steve Jobs thrown in. Like he's kind of maybe a little bit of Zuckerberg as well. He's kind of like not quite
robot.
Yeah. He's quirky in just some of the wrong ways. Like just like doesn't follow social cues, that sort of thing. Anyway, so there's this whole thing. There's these prehistoric locusts that are showing up and just devastating crops, except for ones grown from Biosyn seed. They're leaving those crops alone. And what it is the God, what's his name? The Asian guy, Henry Wu, DB Wong. He has created these things, but originally his plan was they were going to they fly around, they damage some crops, and then they die. But the thing is for some reason he didn't do the coding right, and they're not dying. If anything, they're just making more and more. So this plague of locusts is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're talking about, the whole theory of the world food economy is you're 3 meals from starvation. That's how close the world is on the brink of like worldwide starvation is 3 meals. So with these locusts destroying everything, it's throwing things way out of whack. So what's her face? God, the girl from the original, Laura Dern from she's hunting down these locusts. She's trying to find a link between them and Biosyn to basically pull them up in the world court, sort of thing.
She's the freaky pink hair Star Wars girl.
Sort of, yeah. So while that's going on, Owen and what's her name? I can't remember the names. The names just don't stay in my head. Claire Dearing, Bryce Dallas Howard's character from the Jurassic World series, they have the clone girl up in a cabin, like up in the mountain sort of thing, protecting her, because they realize that if Biosyn gets their hands on her, she has basically the keys to the DNA sequencing. If they can get her, they can reverse engineer her, and then they can do whatever they want with the DNA sort of thing. So they've got her protected. Blue's up there, and Blue has reproduced, immaculate conception sort of thing.
Who's Blue?
Blue is the Velociraptor that Chris Pratt's character trained.
Okay, yeah.
And at one point they even say, the guy says, Henry Wu says, well, they had to use monitor lizard DNA as part of Blue's makeup, and monitor lizards can reproduce without a male.
Okay.
That's actually a real thing. That's how Blue is able to have a basically, and it's not like they're having babies. They're basically having clones. The mother will have clones of itself as the babies. So
we watched that in some sort of nature documentary where certain lizards can do that. There's no actual mate to combine DNA. Basically it's like immaculate conception. Make clone bodies. So
Blue has cloned itself in a little baby. Well, the girl and Blue's baby get kidnapped. They end up chasing like Owen and Claire end up chasing him all the way to Italy. There's this whole underground
To
market.
Italy.
Yeah,
Dinosaurs in Italy.
yeah, Italy.
Okay.
Well, because in somewhere like there's some volcano caldera where Biosyn has set up a whole environment, a whole biome of dinosaurs. Anyways, there's this whole thing that goes on where there's like a chase of like raptors through the city and carnosaurs and allosauruses and all this. It was just like, oh god. This was written by like my 4-year-old son because he just wanted to see dinosaurs. Anyways,
Not that there's
so,
anything wrong with that.
yeah. So Ian Malcolm, played very wonderfully by Jeff Goldblum. He's the one who's been feeding information out to try to bring down Bison because they've hired him as their moral consultant sort of thing. Hijinks ensue. Park goes up in flames. Dodson actually gets killed by the same thing that killed Needry, like the lizard with the things that come out and shake and spit poison. Yeah, he gets taken down by the same ones, which was kind of nice. It was a nice little circle of fuck you, Dodson. But so they managed to give Dr. Wu, Dr. Wu the information he needs because what he wants to do, he wants to create a locust that has basically the kill gene in it. So when it joins up with the other locust swarms, it's going to infect the other locusts and they're all going to die out. That's his whole goal. And I thought what they were going to do was take it one step further and have it kill all the dinosaurs as well. Basically, if it lands anywhere near a dinosaur or any crops the dinosaurs would eat, they would end up, getting that kill gene and dying off.
Okay.
That doesn't happen. They just keep going.
So the franchise man can't kill the dinosaurs.
Yeah. So the movie ends with them talking like this big narration of like, we're living in a new world, and you see like wild horses running and hadrosaurs running with them, and then you see like, at one point in the movie they're outside of like there's a duck pond, and this girl's feeding like this little dinosaur like she'd feed a duck, and you see it was a great shot. It's like this like field in the morning and it's all misty, and these pterodactyls start get up and start flying, and all these Canadian geese start flying, and I'm thinking to myself, the Canadian geese are the more dangerous of the two animals. Geese are nasty.
Yep. Hong Kong.
And they're just talking about how with the new world, like we just have to learn to coexist with dinosaurs and whatnot. And one of the scenes, and it's beautifully done. I mean, I'm going to say it's beautiful graphics. It's the Mosasaurus, the aquatic one, and there's like 3 humpback whales swimming by, and it's just kind of swimming along. And I'm thinking to myself, if that mosasaur gets hungry, those whales are toast, because you've introduced into the oceans an apex predator bigger than the current apex predator. I mean, the biggest apex predator in the oceans right now is the orca, the killer whale. I mean, you have sperm whales, but they have a very, very select diet, and they don't eat other whales. Killer whales will eat other whales. So they're, at 30-some feet, they're the biggest marine predator in the ocean. Well, you suddenly throw like a 60, 70-foot mosasaur out there that can eat whales and killer whales. You're just completely throwing off the ecosystem. You've got a massive predator thrown into the oceans. And at one point, they even show like a crab boat, like one of those like the Alaskan crab fishermen, and they're pulling up the crab pot, and the mosasaur grabs it and ends up capsizing the boat. Well, that's gonna fuck up the whole crab industry. So yeah, I was just like, you needed to kill off the dinosaurs, but again, Universal's like, well, this is a cash cow. We just got to keep milking.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the UN declares that the valley where all these dinosaurs are is now a nature preserve, and it's a sanctuary and all this stuff. And I was just like, I came out of the movie and I was like, there's some nice visuals. And when Fred gets a little older, I'm sure he's going to love to watch this because of all the dinosaurs. But
yeah,
the story just felt like a lot of just fan masturbation. It just really did. Like, it was just a lot, again, missed opportunities, and you could tell they're just like, well, we're going to keep milking this, so let's just keep the status quo. No one dies, at least no one of importance dies, and let's just keep right on trucking. So
what were the missed opportunities? Like, what would you have done with
um
this?
I would have killed off some of the dinosaurs. I would have had, when he had the whole thing with the locust, kill off some of the dinosaurs so that at least, in theory, humans have a fighting chance. Kill off. I mean, they had what's this? Alan Grant and Ellie Sadler. She's finally divorced, and he's never gotten married, so they have this big kiss at the end, and it was just like, I think Jeff Goldblum's character should have sacrificed himself. And there was this perfect moment. They were fighting a Gigantosaurus, which is like the biggest predator ever, bigger than a T-Rex. And he basically like makes a giant flaming torch. Like he picks up a burning locust sort of thing, puts it on a stick, and he's waving it back and forth to try to distract it so other people can have a chance to get away. And he ends up using it like a spear and chucking it into the mouth, and it like belches flame and gets all distracted and shit. He should have died. He should have, this was his sacrifice so that the others could go on. It would have been a beautiful moment for the character. Nope, they got to keep him going. Yeah, it was just one absolute amazing coincidence after the other of characters surviving when they shouldn't have. So yeah, only the villains get their comeuppance. Yeah. So
how many of the Jurassic Park movies have you seen?
I've seen them all.
Okay. So where's this land in the spectrum? Because I've only basically seen, I think, two of them, the first and second.
Okay, well,
where's the land?
In my mind, one is still the best.
Yeah.
It was groundbreaking. It was a great story. It was a fun story. It was a fun watch. It's a movie you can watch again and again. 2 and 3, I mean, 3 was just, oh God. I mean, 2 were T-Rexes loose in San Diego. No. 3 was again another no. And then the Jurassic Worlds. I like the first Jurassic World. The second one, Fallen Kingdom, was meh. And the third one, I just felt like they were just like, hey, we're gonna milk this as much as we can. And yeah, like I think it cost them just under 200 million to make, and they've already made $500 million on it. So, and it's been out a week. So yeah, this cash cow is not ending anytime soon, unfortunately. So yeah, that was.
So is it the second best Jurassic Park?
No, I would rank it probably tied for third, or maybe even fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, as I said, it was a fun visual. It was, for me, it was more fun to be out with the wife on a date night. That was more my enjoyment, getting a chance to be out with the wife and not,
That's always bad when the movie gets points for that rather than the actual content.
So we're going to change gears a bit.
All right.
And go to the boys. So far, of all the streaming shows that have been out, they're currently out: Kenobi, Miss Marvel, The Boys, all, Orville, all that stuff. To me, The Boys is leading the pack because they're just, with every step, they're turning and nut kicking everyone behind them, daring them to, do what they do. And I mean, Disney's could never do a season like The Boys. They just, like, Mickey Mouse would shriek in horror, and yeah, probably put a, one less mouse. Anyways,
we can't sell these pajamas.
Yeah, exactly. So, this episode marked a turning point in as much as powered and so there's this chemical running around, V24, V24, that'll temporarily give you powers for 24 hours.
Yeah.
But the character played by Jensen Ackles of Soldier Boy has a new power that's like this big energy beam that comes out of his chest. And if it hits a powered individual, it turns their powers off, makes them normal. So one of the characters got hit with it last episode. So this episode, she's in the hospital and she realizes her powers are gone. Now, the previous episode, she was talking about how she hated her powers because she didn't like them because she killed and all this other stuff. And she is over the moon to the fact that she's normal. Things are heavy. Like, she had super strength and things are heavy. and she's not healing rapidly, and she loves it. She loves the fact that she's normal. She doesn't have these powers, which she considered a curse. And so you've got that plot line running. You've got the plot line with the one character, A-Train. There's like some violence in his neighborhood by this other hero named Blue Hawk, who's racist and targeting black neighborhoods. So they make him do this whole speech at a community center, and it goes wrong. It goes wrong fast. And this guy's just whipping people left and right, and he ends up like paralyzing A-Train's best friend. And this is going to come. And the thing is, A-Train can't use his powers right now because he's been told the next time he jumps to super speed, his heart might explode. Like he'll get 2 steps into super speed and his heart will explode and he'll be dead. Because right now he's got like a severe medical issue going on. So this is all going on. We've got Soldier Boy has now been released from the USSR and is back in the US, and he's hunting down his old teammates and picking them off in gory fashion. And this, I can't wait for the next episode, because the next episode is the Herogasm. The episode they said that could never be made,
but they're making it.
They've made it, and this is where they would go to announce that they are going to go fight aliens, or going and actually they're just going off to a remote island to do drugs, get laid, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
and I've heard some comments from the cast where they're like, we can't believe we made this. You're doing an action series and now we're doing something else. And,
yes.
I've never been in this environment before in my life, and we made that.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing this episode to just see where they go with it. Because I mean, we're 5 episodes in, and so far this has been so much fun. Because they've just been like, they're like, oh, what's Marvel's rules for superheroes? What's DC rules for superheroes? Fuck it. And it just gets like, they take that bar, or that that you draw that line in the sand, and they don't step over it. They piss on it, then step over it. And
that's Garth Ennis, right there.
And it's been a fun watch. So I really enjoyed this last episode, and I'm looking forward to next Friday's episode.
I'm gonna have to get caught up. I have scrounged around to find some things. Like I saw the wall with all the devices and all that you guys were talking about last time. And, all those kind of things. So it's like, all right, I'm just gonna have to dive in. Dive in.
I mean, as I said, I was hooked the very first episode of season 1 when Huey's there with his girlfriend, and she's just one step off the curb, and A-Train blows right through it, and he's just holding her severed forearms and hands, and he's covered in blood. Like, it looks like they threw like a 5-gallon pail of blood at him.
Yeah. See, for me, that scene actually kind of turned me off from the series. I was like, oh, this is too much. This is too dark. Do I want to watch this? I was like, And the comic book was the same way, because again, I love Garth Ennis' Punisher, but when he does the comedy stuff, it's like, no, this is too dark and creepy. Like, I can't laugh at this. And the boys always fell into that camp. But
it's just been, for me, it's because I had just finished reading this long essay this guy had written about physics of superheroes, talking about how if Superman actually punched somebody, the person wouldn't like fly across the room and make like a cardboard cutout shape of them as they go through the wall. They would get turned into a fine red mist. And stuff like the Flash, when he's running at speed, he can't touch anything, because if he even like tapped a car on his way by, as the car starts to move, it would explode into just a giant cloud of basically, it would go off like a claymore mine. So if he was running down a street and there was a bunch of pedestrians and he touched a car, they would just get shredded by the claymore mine that was that car.
Yeah. And you even think about the sonic boom that would happen for that, like breaking the speed of sound, like everything.
Yeah. So when they did this series, and they're like, oh, no, physics are going to be real world physics in this. I was like, oh, really?
Oh, no.
So when you have, A-Train's just running by, and he's running so fast, and the girl was there, and he couldn't take that side step to the side to get around her.
Yeah.
Because A, he was concentrating on something else, and B, it happened so fast. So when he blew through her, all that was left was a pair of severed hands
Yeah.
that he's holding. And it's just like, oh. And yeah, when they hit him with like the spray of blood, it was just like little bits are dripping down his face, like little bits of tissue, and you're just like, oh. And they
Well,
just
and that's the thing. Like, if you think of the X-Men movies, that the Quicksilver scene is people's favorite one, where he's going hyperspeed and saving everybody and doing all that stuff. But imagine you put that kind of physics logic into it, right? Where you're going, hyperspeed and everything's slowed down so you can see it. It's like, whoops,
as
something's
he's
in
running
front
around
of
and
me.
touching people,
Nope.
stop, and you just see
Boom.
people explode as like bags of blood. Just be
Yeah.
and then you kind of look at him and he's like,
I tried.
I did what I could. Yeah. So it's one of the things that's kind of pulled me into this series, and the acting is top notch.
Everything I've seen for the acting, because again,
Urban,
you guys have been talking about this for a while, so every time you guys mention something, I go and check out clips and check out kind of where things are at, and it does look great.
I said his name. It's Carl Urban. Carl Urban has been killing it as Billy Butcher, like just chewing up the scene. You can tell he's having so much fun doing this role. And he, with V24, he has superpowers, and he doesn't like the person he has become with these superpowers, but he's also not afraid to use them. I mean, cutting people in half with laser eyes. It's just, I mean, the scene a season ago where he's got they have a superpowered baby and some security guards running, and he just picks up the baby and aims the baby at the security guards, and the baby's eyes and he just uses the laser beams to cut everyone in half and then puts the baby back down. That's just genius stuff. So yeah, I've been really enjoying the boys. It's been fun. Also, what came out was Miss Marvel on Disney Plus.
That's one I haven't watched yet. I know you and Gavin were giving it praise last week.
Yeah,
what do you think now?
I've been enjoying it. I mean, episode two was interesting in as much as she's training to learn to control her powers with her best friend. The genius is kind of like a very young teenage Tony Stark-esque kind of character. So she's trying to learn her powers, but she meets up with this boy that kind of like is checking all her boxes, and her friend's kind of jealous, but this guy seems so perfect, and you're like, if he's that perfect, it's too good to be true. By the end of the episode, you find out it is. But she uses her powers to save somebody, which it kind of works and doesn't, because she's also find out more where this bracelet came from, and who her great grandmother was, who was not a nice person, or people didn't like her. There's something mysterious about her that doesn't add up. And so this character who's too good to be true, his mother gets introduced to Kamala at the very end. It's the big cliffhanger, like, who is she? And she seems to know about these about the powers and where they come from or something. So we don't know exactly what's going on there. But at the same time, there's little interesting little things. So like, her best friend is going to run for the council at the mosque, so that the women can get some representation. But to me,
representation.
Exactly. Now, the thing that got me was, so her best friend, Carol, he goes to see the guidance counselor, says, "Hey man, you're in." And the guy's like, "In what?" And he's like, "No, you got the early admission to Caltech. You can go to California and hang out at the university and learn all this cool stuff." And he was like, "Yeah, but that's all the way in California, but he wants to stay here with Kamala." I think they should have, this was a missed opportunity again by them, by saying not Caltech, but like, the Stark Tech program.
Oh yeah,
in upstate New York or somewhere. So it's something even more up his alley of what he wants to do. You just say, because that's like saying, "Hey, you got a chance to go to CalArts and learn animation," or you got the chance to, "Hey, you get to go to Disney World and learn at the feet of the animators there." Like, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
So I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity on the part of the writers that they could have done. I mean, there's still 4 more episodes. I have no idea where this whole series is headed, other than the fact that they got a movie lined up. So, yeah.
I heard there's a big cameo. Is there anything
No
on that,
one,
or is that next episode?
I don't know. They haven't said what it's. The only no. One nice thing is Damage Control is hunting her.
Oh, okay.
Department of Damage Control, because she's an unlicensed super who's shown up. They want to bring her in and question her and register and all that sort of stuff. So it's nice to see Damage Control is around.
I love Damage Control.
They need their own series. They really do.
I know, right? And I should be writing it.
I love the Damage Control comic books.
Oh, it's so good. So. And it's that kind of humor, and you can, like, whatever happens in the movies, you can have an episode. It's like, all right, let's explain. It's kind of what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should have been. And they tried a couple times. They had a couple hits with like the aftermath of Winter Soldier and Thor Dark World. Like, you know, they kind of touched on that. But you could have had an entire series about that.
Yes.
And Damage Control would be the perfect one to do it. You know, like Thor, Love and Thunder. Okay, what happens? You know,
exactly.
Okay, Damage Control. It's got to go clean it up.
Yeah, I mean, you could have, like, you know, and the whole series, you could have them as case files from Damage Control. So you could have, like, you know, the Battle of New York, how they did the cleanup there. The battle, you know, in upstate New York for Avengers Endgame, the cleanup there on the Avengers compound. Cleaning up after Doctor Strange, cleaning up after, you know, Spider-Man. This is the kind of stuff I wanted to see. Like, this would be cool.
And it'd be so funny if you keep that humorous element where it is a comedy series. Like, you tie everything in, you keep all the sci-fi, you keep all the comic book stuff, and you make it hilarious.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's The Office with them having to go out and deal with the aftermaths of super. And if you could even grab a couple of cameos, like you get Wong shows up in an episode and kind of like, oh, sorry, you know, this, and you have someone like, sir, here's your tuna melt, and he's like, oh, thank you, and then, you know, so sling rings and off he goes, and then, like, and you have the guy going,
like, even the Ricky Gervais look at the camera as if the camera crew is actually there filming them, where they can look at the camera and do the funny expressions and all that.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, Modern Family, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And I'd say a scene with Wong where they hand him a sandwich and he goes through his portal and closes it, and the guy's like, I don't think we're getting that plate back. That's my plate from home. How do we get a hold of him? I want my mom gave me that plate. You know,
and he didn't even pay for it. What the hell?
Yeah. So stuff
like
that.
Sorcerers.
Yeah. And, you know, someone's like, oh, we got down in the basement, we got some Stark tech. We don't know what it does or what it does, you know, or what's powering it. But, you know, until Stark or one of his people show up to come get it, which is
Stark's dead, but you know, one of the other guys.
Yeah, but the thing is, each episode is like case files. So you need every, like, you know, 22-minute episode could be 2 11-minute episodes of a case file from the files of Damage Control. So you can jump at any point in time, you know, talking about, well, there was that time that, you know, Thor took, you know, he blasted away with Loki, and they had all that landscaping they had to do to take away those Celtic symbols off the, you know, stuff like that. And you
that'd be hilarious.
They're talking to the maintenance, like the lawn
Damage Control, removing Celtic symbols.
Yeah, like the one guy, like, he's like lawn maintenance. He's like, every day you got to dig down 2 feet because it burns so far down. You know, it would be a great episode of all those. Disney Plus, if you're listening, do Damage Control. Come on.
Yeah.
But right now, and unfortunately, in this series, Damage Control feels more like the FBI in a way.
Okay.
Because that's why they're investigating new supers. Like, that's not Damage Control's.
No, that would be S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, that'd be S.H.I.E.L.D. or Sword or whatever the hell they're called now.
Mm-hmm.
They should be doing this. Damage Control should be like, oh shit,
like literally cleaning up crap,
like
Celtic symbols burned into the ground.
Yeah, like they're the ones like cleaning up that bank that got destroyed by Spider-Man and the guys with the powered weapons.
Yeah, so trying to figure out how to clean webs off things. It's like, oh my god, like, how long do we have to wait for this?
We're spraying bleach on it or scraping it with a paint scraper.
Yeah,
shit's not coming out, man.
It's like, damn it.
They come back later. Where'd it go? It was here. I promise you.
We cleaned it up. Bonus.
All right, just paint the wall and put the new glass in, and we're good. We're out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be a great series. It really
it would.
I would happily watch the hell out of that show.
That's the thing, is there's so many TV series that could be amazing, like Obi Wan, where it like the premise is there. It's like it. How can you not do that? Like, do you want money? Do you want subscribers? Do you want people to be excited? Again, Obi Wan, you have 6 episodes to have Darth Vader just chasing down Obi Wan like a Terminator. Yeah, that works. But then you have to introduce all these extra characters and third sister versus Darth Vader. I don't care.
Action
figures. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah, they just want to make action figures.
But who wants the action figures? Like, I'd rather have the Gina Carano action figure than any of these ones.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've been on a 1/6 Hot Toys kind of binge lately. Okay. I'm obsessive compulsive, and I like to get cool stuff to surround myself with. Like I have a Naruto back there and a Marty McFly. And
it is so dark back there, Mike. No one can see nothing.
No one can see nothing. I know. We'll get some lights
eventually. Well lit. See? Well lit.
I like the ambiance.
I see.
But it's like, if you're gonna try and, I don't know, like, sell a series, sell the merchandise, like, make people want this kind of stuff. You like, it's right there. Everybody's willing to dive in if it's good. But like this third sister, like, I hated that character right from the trailer. Same with that Imperial traitor character, which made no female officers ever in the Imperial Army ever since. It's those female officers that keep shooting stormtroopers and smuggling out Jedi. Yeah, let's just stop this. We don't need the gender diversity anymore. I don't know. I forget where I was going with that.
Well, just merchandise. Like, if Disney Plus did a damage control TV show, you could have a whole line of tools, like kid tools, that are the repurposed hero and villain weapons that damage control has, that now they have like hanging from their tool belts. Like, wait, I got this little Asgardian short sword that allows me to like cut through just about anything, better than any box knife or jackhammer. He's like, are you supposed to be using that? He's like, well, no, probably not, but it makes my job so much easier. Stuff like that. Like, and then make a tool belt. Like, you can sell it, have little kids wear, and it's got like, there's an Asgardian short sword and a Stark Tech, tape measure, or, shit like that. Like, so instead of like the usual, he has a hammer, he's like, well, it's like a Kree hammer.
Yeah. Spider-Man web snippers.
Yeah, exactly. Like stuff they've made or come along, like an articulating mechanical arm that is attached to the belt. It's not a Doc Ock arm, but something similar.
Yeah,
they just, if they find it on the site and they find a use for it in their job, instead of turning it in, it just becomes one of the tools they use in their truck. So yeah, they really need to do damage control as a comedy series. So, are you listening, Feige? You listening, Disney Plus? Jesus,
you can hire us.
Yeah, get it done. God. Yeah. So that's pretty much all that I've been doing this week. There's been a lot of stuff going on in terms of like home life and all that stuff. So kids are finally finishing the school year. Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, it's been a crazy year. The only other thing, definitely not geeking off the page related, but it's something the family's been obsessed with, is the series Alone. So back before we started watching this, we were watching Survivor Man. We were doing a rewatch because Survivor Man is awesome. He's a local Canadian boy and surviving in the wilderness for a week. Cool stuff. But my family all got obsessed. So my extended family, like my mother, my sister-in-law, my sister, my brother, everybody, the last family gathering was obsessed with a series called Alone, which is essentially Survivor Man, but as like a game show. where 10 people get sent out into the wild. They have to survive as long as they can. And if they survive, they get $500,000. So it's kind of neat that it's that Survivor Man style. They have to film themselves. They have to, just basically live with whatever they have on them. But then there's the competitive element. And the first season was phenomenal. Like, I understand why everybody was obsessed with it. We skipped season 2 because it was still like Victoria, it was Vancouver Island, and it's like, we've seen that climate, let's see something else. So we skipped to season 3. But great show, and I love that it gets the kids all hyped up for that survivalism. Like, everybody wants to go camping. They want to see how long they can last in the wilderness by themselves. They want to do wild foraging, and they want to do hunting or fishing and all that kind of stuff. So even though it doesn't quite fit with the whole geeking off the page kind of nerd culture thing, that's the thing that the family is completely obsessed with, and we've been watching over the last few weeks.
I'm just quickly looking at it. I'm like, yeah, I'd watch this. This looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good. The moment my mother was obsessed and had to watch, it's like, okay, like, I understand if my brother's hyped with this, but the fact that my mother wants to see what happens and is completely hooked, it's like, okay, I'm in.
That's pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, part of it is that whole. I mean, that's why I like the zombie apocalypse stuff.
It is like that.
It draws me in because it's like, if something happened, how long could we survive? How long could an individual survive? How long could I survive? Sort of thing. Like, what steps would I need to take to ensure my survival?
And it's interesting because you have people that come into this like, yes, I'm a high school teacher and I want to prove to my students that I can do this, and they tap out day one. It's like, what the hell, dude?
Well, he showed his students exactly how long he could survive.
Yeah, and you have season 1 where it got pretty hardcore. It's like almost 2 months, and when the final guy was basically told he won, it's like, oh, I was planting my spring garden. Like, I was gonna, it's like, I was in for the year, man. That kind of stuff is awesome. Again, like that, and you see the way each person handles that zombie apocalypse. Like, who's the latest, like, we're watching season 3. There's a couple females in this one. The girl, first thing she does is she makes a chair to make herself more comfortable. It's like, what the hell? It's such a female thing to do. But now she has this nice bamboo chair and she can sit and relax, and she's catching fish and doing this. Like, man, this hippie girl's doing great. So
yeah,
it's so neat to see how those people survive the zombie apocalypse.
In Patagonia, Argentina, right?
Yeah, Patagonia's.
So yeah, it's funny what people prioritize.
Yeah.
There was an experiment done years ago, and they had, like, it was a wide range of people from wide walks of life, and they were asked, if you had to bug out of your house, you were given 45 minutes notice. You had to leave your house, never come back, and you were going to a wilderness type situation. You didn't know exactly what climate, but just knowing that things like, you're not going to have running power, like, you're not going to have power, you're not going to have running water, like, there's not going to be any faucet sort of thing. You're just out in the middle of nowhere. What do you bring? And people were like, oh, my laptop and its charger, and just like and the thing is people were like putting and just going, like, guy was running through his house and writing, oh, I have to bring this and this and this and this and this, and then they were told, well, you have a limited amount of space, whatever you can fit in the trunk of your car or the back of your SUV with the seats down, like, that's it. Because this guy had, like, he was bringing his bed, he was bringing like, and it was just like, it was mind-boggling. How the hell are you going to get your bed in your car in 45 minutes?
Put it on top, man. Bungee cords.
Because the whole idea was, at the 45-minute mark, you are backing out of the driveway and gone. And like, God, this one guy, he had listed his Apple Power PC with its Apple monitor, and the speaker setup and the keyboard and the mouse and his laptop and his phone, and
Oh, that's going to help you in the Yukon.
he had like all this stuff. And the
I
thing
guess
is
if you
that,
have Starlink,
yeah, well, the thing is he's
even
got all
that's
this stuff down. He missed things
geolocation.
like clothes, blankets, cooking utensils of any sort. But he had all his computer. He had his full computer. He had his keyboard and his acoustic guitar and his electric guitar and his amp. And then they reminded, by the way, there's no power where you are going.
Solar panels, can I get that?
Yeah,
Order it,
so
Amazon order.
it was like, if people were put in a survival situation like that, most people aren't thinking about what they're actually going to need. They're going to do stuff like, oh, I'm in this, I'm here in this in the middle of uncharted nowhere. I'm going to build a chair. What?
The funny thing is, I was chirping the girl that was building the chair, but she did it, and she caught some fish, and she's sitting there comfortable. It's like, all right, well, good on you. Like, meanwhile, there's other people who are trying to build things, and they're tripping over roots and cutting themselves with axes and getting medical evacuation because they've hurt themselves. It's like, yeah, okay, chair girl, good on you.
It just, I mean, I can think of 100 things that I would probably do before building a chair.
Yeah, but the fact that she did it,
I mean,
and she still ate, like, she got
good-
her fish, she ate her food.
Good for her that she, got that. But where are you going to sleep?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I've read plenty of material, and a lot of people are like, well, I just sleep on the beach. Yeah, and you're going to get eaten alive by sand fleas and sand mites.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's interesting, because like most, like the shows we've watched so far, it's basically winter climate, so it's cold and harsh and all that. So you see the people that make like the elevated beds and put the moss, and they create different shelters to direct the heat towards their sleeping. Like, it's awesome. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. My dad, I just remember as a kid, he took us camping once, and we're like expecting like a motorhome or a trailer or even a tent, and he, in the space of like 3 hours, we had a campsite, we had a fire pit, like ringed with rocks, and even it was dug down, it was all rocks. There were raised platforms to sleep on, so you're not sleeping on the ground. Because I mean, he was like, you sleep on the ground, most of your heat is getting leached by the ground while you're sleeping. So you're going to wake up sore, you're going to wake up cold if you wake up. So you want to get off the ground. And it was just like, in a couple of hours, you had a place to stay, you had a place to sleep, you had a place to burn wood safely for a campfire. He showed us how to, with minimal tools, how to fish, how to create like a little fish trap. So as the fish are swimming along, they get into the trap and just reach down and physically pick them up. How to set snares for things like rabbits and other small animals. So when you see some of these shows and the people are like, we're starving, there is food all around you. You just, it's not going to come in a nice package like you get in the grocery store. You got to skip that middleman and get right to the food itself.
And you see the people that do it well, it's crazy. Like season 1 in this Alone show. So this one dude, he's like 22 years old, like young guy. And he's basically camped out on this kind of peninsula kind of point, which seems like a terrible idea for Vancouver winters and massive storms. But he's just hanging out, and I didn't see him fish at all through the whole season. He was setting these deadfall traps that were killing little mice that were invading his camp. So every day, so just eating a mouse is completely crazy. The other people that are fishing and eating seaweed, all that kind of stuff. Same, even with this season, that girl who's like making chairs, she's catching fish and eating berries. It's like, oh my God, like it's a gourmet meal. Like, I don't know what the heck she's doing, but like she's surviving. And the fun thing about watching this with the kids is because it inspires them to want to do the same kind of thing. Back when I was a kid, I did the Cub Scouts, and we did all these kind of, like survival camping, and we set up snares. We never caught anything with the snares. I was kind of terrified. It's like, oh no, I don't want to kill the bunny. But no, we would do the birch bark teas and like whatever else, like surviving in the wild. So it's fun to get the kids involved in that. And I guess bring it back to geeking off the page genre, preparing the kids for the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's fun. And we want to do one of these adventures with the kids this summer. We're just like, throw a bunch of stuff in your backpack. We're going to a campground. We're going to ride in our bicycles. Let's see how long we can last. It'd be fun.
It would. I mean, I don't want to do it right now with Harrison and Fred because
they're a little.
Yeah, they're little, and it's. I mean, we had a hard enough time keeping track of them in more urban areas. I can't imagine them out in the wilderness. Like, where's Fred? He's about 3 miles that way.
Yeah, but once the kids are about 10 years old and older, that's when that kind of stuff gets really fun. Like, you can introduce it when they're young, like when they're in single digit age. It's kind of like, okay, we know what the wild's like. We know what swimming's like. I can hold my breath. Like, all this stuff's good. I can swim. Great. But like 10 and up, that's where you can really start getting into the more complex stuff.
So I mean, that's why I kind of like the whole, like, all those different zombie apocalypse stories of seeing what thoughts people have about what will you do with what's available or what's left. And you come with some pretty good ideas. Some that are just like, that's completely unfeasible.
Yeah. And it's fun to watch people kind of MacGyver stuff. And like, the first series of Alone, this guy found plastic bottles that washed up on the shore, and he cut them in half, turned them into fish traps, and he was catching all these little fish in his fish trap he made up with just plastic bottles that washed up. Like, that's awesome. I love that kind of MacGyver stuff. Like, you're stuck in the wilderness. It's like, oh, I'll survive with what I got. And he made this gigantic fish trap out of wood. It never showed him catch anything in it. So I was kind of curious about that. Like, an entire episode, he was building this stupid fish trap, and then you don't even see a single fish from it. But the idea is cool. One dude built a boat. He built a canoe just out of wood and a tarp, and it starts like canoeing around. Like, that's awesome.
What was he looking for while canoeing around? Like,
he was trying to find like sustenance. He was trying to like, it's like, oh, now that I'm mobile, I can eat stuff. He found a bunch of clams and he got sick and got diarrhea for an entire night. Epic fail, but again, zombie apocalypse stuff.
Yeah.
You watch this stuff and it just gives you ideas like, what would you do in that situation? I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So also released this week was Lightyear, the Buzz Lightyear movie. I'm planning on taking the girls to it sometime next week. So hopefully I'll have my next podcast. I'll be able to say yes or, oh God, no.
Yeah, I'm not planning on watching that one, but I'm looking forward to the reviews.
I like the premise in as much as it's the movie Andy would have watched. And so Buzz Lightyear toy is the merchandising of that movie. And that's why you have Toy Story.
And it's interesting too, like I was talking about the 1/6 scale figures, and they're doing an actual Buzz Lightyear 1/6 scale figure of the movie as a toy, and it does kind of look cool. That's by Hot Toys. And I was like, oh man, I kind of, because I got the old one way back in the day, back in Sheridan days, like the actual clunky action figure style one.
Actually, we picked up Fred the Zurg. If you bring the Zurg and Buzz Lightyear together, they will talk to each other.
Nice.
They have like lines they will say to each other. So, yeah. I'm just gonna take the girls to it because next week is their last week of school, and at the end of the week they're going to like a sleepaway camp for a week, so they're going to be gone. So that'll be good. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, so I think I'm supposed to. The plan is sometime next week, like, because they finish on Wednesday. I think they have 2 half days. This is the thing that's killing me. So we have Monday off. Tuesday's a half day. They go to school at like, they leave the house at 7:30. They're back by 11:30. They're gone for like 4 hours. And then Wednesday, same thing. Can't they just go all day Tuesday and be done?
You would think.
You'd think, but no. The school board has to have so many school days. So yeah, it'll be 2 half days. And then so I got to figure out something to do with them. And Mare's on service, so she's not available. So yeah.
That's what my boys are saying. It's like, you know what? The grades are in, school's done. We just go in there and they just like make us watch movies or like do like it's a joke.
So my older daughter Josie, Friday she had her school party. They did tie-dye shirts. They pretty much know their grades. They've already visited the school she's going to next year. She's got an orientation at the end of August. So yeah, like if she didn't go Tuesday, Wednesday, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But she wants to see her friends. That's basically it. They're just going to be watching movies and playing games and stuff. So
yeah. It's like that's what you did for homeschool for 2 years.
So yeah. So yeah, they're going to go see Lightyear. Now there is a bunch of movies coming out in July. Let's see. I had the list and then I closed the stupid page. And
how dare you?
I know. I regretted. I was just like, and I was like, oh shoot, I closed it. So July is, I mean, the girls want to see the Minions: Rise of Gru.
Okay.
There's Thor: Love and Thunder, which I kind of
I'm mixed on that. I
Taika Waititi. I mean, so far
I know
he hasn't
that's the only thing that's kind of got me interested, but I don't like Thor Jane. I don't like the Valkyrie arc. I don't like Thor, who's 1,000-year-old god who saved the world multiple times, and he's like fighting himself.
He's 1,500. Thank you.
1,500. Yeah. Okay.
Also, the same day on Netflix is the Sea Beast that looks like it was like done with the same setup as Moana, like the.
Oh yeah.
So I like that one because I mean it looks nice, and I really want to kind of see that. But at the end, the end of the month is DC League of Super Pets.
Okay.
Which it's dumb enough it might work. So yeah,
it'd be amusing. I would never buy a theater ticket for it, especially because my kids are old enough to not care about that kind of thing. And then in the same way, but
in August we have Prey, which is the Predator versus the American Indians.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie, which I think might be on Netflix. I don't know. It doesn't say. And then I know there was something else in August, but I can't remember what. I really wish I hadn't closed that list. I feel stupid now. I do.
You should feel stupid about doing that.
Yes.
Did you watch Stranger Things?
I have not started the season 4 yet.
Okay. I haven't watched it because I hated the last 2 seasons.
Okay.
But my sons watched it and they were raving about the end of it.
Okay.
So the beginning was completely cringy and I walked in on some of it. It's just, it's that kind of thing where a property becomes a parody of itself.
Okay.
Or it's just too ridiculous. It's too like whatever it was that lightning in the bottle for season 1, they're trying to replicate it, but it becomes a parody of itself. It was just terrible. So all the parts I saw looked like that. I was like, nah, I'm not even watching it. But apparently the ending of it, last few episodes are really great. And everybody I've kind of tapped in on that's given reviews said it's better than everything except season 1.
Okay.
So it's like, okay. Well, yeah, that's interesting.
It might be enough to pull me back. It looks like most of the films are actually coming out after summer's over. Like Black Adam, Black Panther, Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
That's crazy for tentpole movies. Like you would think they would hit that.
You'd think they
summer demographic.
Summer, but like so in October you have Black Adam. And in December, they have Shazam, Fury of the Gods, like 2 months apart. And in between those, you've got Wakanda, or Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. It's like 3 months in a row. You got 3, yeah. But I mean, September has Pinocchio, so there you go.
Me,
come on. Pinocchio.
I watched the cartoon. I'm good.
I just look, why do people feel the need to make live action versions of these movies?
Money, man. It's a proven property.
Oh
Cash
God.
it in. Ka-ching.
It's just like every time they're like, oh, we're gonna do the Lion King, we're gonna do Beauty and the Beast. Do you need to?
We don't need to.
No, they just they felt the need to have to, and they just
But then we don't have to write a new story.
yeah, but it's I mean, just show your kids the old movie. It's perfectly good. It withstood the test of time.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm gonna end that rant there because I'm sure I could go on for quite a while.
We don't want that.
No. I bet at this point the listeners are like, oh my God, are these guys can never shut up? So
never.
Yeah.
We'll keep going.
Yeah. So my plans are this week I'm gonna try to do The Boys, Miss Marvel. I'm probably gonna catch up on the 2 episodes of Orville that we've missed. And I might try to see if I can squeeze some time in for Star Trek and then take the girls to go see Lightyear. So we'll see.
Yeah. For myself, okay, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, gonna try and get caught up on that. And The Boys, I'm all queued up to do a dive into that.
Yeah, just do a couple episodes at least.
Yeah, I've looked at a bunch. I've skipped through and like, oh, there's that. So okay. Yeah. Again, it's that weird Garth Ennis kind of humor that's dark and twisted and kind of makes me feel icky after.
Well, that's you're supposed to feel icky after.
You are.
And during. And sometimes even before it starts, you're like, I just have an icky feeling coming across. Like, well, I'll play.
Yep, that's it.
It's like eating a sandwich that the flavor might be a little off, but you're hungry, so you're gonna get through it. You're gonna get through it no matter what. You're hungry, damn it. Just finish the damn sandwich.
That's how you survive alone. Callback.
Exactly. So for those who are listening still, I'm surprised you haven't shut it off by now.
Oh, come on. We're so entertaining.
We are.
I'm surprised more of you aren't listening.
Well, at least Mike's entertaining. This has been, is this episode 41? I think
I'm not counting.
I remember it's 41.
Let's call it 41.
Sure. Episode
41.
Another
one was called 41. We'll rename it.
Yeah. Or we could, change it. So this is episode 42. Just dub in the voice. It'll be fun. No one will know. No one will know.
We know the way Troy edits. That'll be an outtake if we're wrong.
Yeah. No, last episode was 40. So this is episode 41.
See, we're right.
Yeah. We're always right.
Always.
I'm sure my wife will immediately say, no, you're not.
I see her poking her head through the door there now.
I'm sure she's at the hospital and suddenly went, no, he's not. So anyways, so if you've been listening and enjoying this is episode 41. Next week will be episode 42. So there's something to look forward to.
Unless it's not 41 and a half, maybe.
Oh,
you never know.
Yeah, you never know. So anyways, thanks for listening. Please keep at it because we like it if you do listen. I've been Trevor.
I've been Mike.
And this has been Geeking Off the Page. Anyways, so good night. And if you don't listen to this on your favorite podcast software, watch it on YouTube. Watch us be idiots as it happens. All right. Good night, folks.
Good night.
This has been Geeking Off the Page, a Planet Geek production. Please be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review. For our social medias, search Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok for Planet Geek Productions. On Instagram and Twitter, Planet Geek Pod. Or email us at planetgeekpod@gmail.com. So until next bat time, same spider channel, may the force be with you, and thanks for tuning in.
I'm going to call it like it is. So we're going to end it there. We're going to see if Troy or Gavin have any comments of their own.
They don't have anything to say. When do they ever have anything to say?
I mean, they should have plenty to say. Hopefully next week they will have.
I'm calling you out, Troy. I'm calling you out, Gavin.
Yeah. Next week, be here. Have something to say. Otherwise the chirping will increase. So